I didn't grow up with that father figure love, and so he showed me that love, and it was different because that was the first time in my life that I really felt appreciated,
Mm.
and I felt like I could do anything. When I started out with Reese, at first I was unsure of myself. When I ended with Reese, I was the most confident person ever. I never lost a fight as an amateur or a pro under him.
What's up, everyone? Today on Fight Capital, I am joined by UFC athlete Ode Osbourne, whose journey from college wrestling to MMA action is nothing short of inspiring. We talk about his immigration story, mentorship in MMA, and overcoming challenges. You're not going to want to miss this one. Ode is just a great guy all around. It's been an honor getting to know him out here in Las Vegas. And if you are enjoying this content, make sure you follow Ode on all of his platforms. You can find out his handles down below in the comments. And if you're enjoying this content as well, please give me a subscription, like, follow. You guys inspire me to do this content and really appreciate everyone's support. Now, Ode Osbourne, let's get it. Welcome back to Fight Capital, where we enter the ring of combat sports business. Here today with UFC athlete Ode Osbourne. Ode, man, thanks for doing this. Appreciate you, man.
Wagwan.
Yeah, man. Well, so, we were talking a little bit, but I'd love for you just to talk to me a little bit about your transition. You were wrestling in college, Carroll University. They canceled their wrestling program, and you made that move into martial arts for the first time. But talk to me a little bit about what that and how that transition shaped your career.
Well, first of all, it was a difficult transition because, a lot of people around me were like, oh, you dropping out of college because the wrestling program got ended, you know what I'm saying? So everyone was like, oh, you need a backup plan. You need a backup plan. Because I told everyone I wanted to go into the UFC. The only reason I went to Wisconsin for wrestling was because they have really good wrestling and they're very competitive in Wisconsin.
Mm.
So there was no more wrestling because the school dropped the program. So I found an MMA gym down the road, and the coach asked me to help train his fighters and teach them wrestling. And so the transition wasn't difficult. It was just people around me, because we live in such a blue collar, go to college, finish school, get a degree, get a job, and I chose the out of the box route. Everyone was like, "No, don't do it that way, thinking." And here I am. Now those same people are asking me for tickets for my fights.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's funny how that works out. Well, I know that you had this transition when you were actually earning your way to becoming a teacher.
Yeah.
And you did that by getting the job by just basically saying, I'll do whatever it takes.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about that process, because I think that's a really interesting backstory.
Well, when I first went to the martial arts gym, my first martial arts gym, I had no job. I just, dropped out of college and I was going to go back to Florida. And I said, you know what? Let me give this all I got. So I found we found the closest gym down the road, and my wrestling coach and the gym, the head trainer at the gym were friends. And so I told the head trainer at the gym, I was like, look, man, I don't have a job, but if you need me to clean the gym, wash your car, take out the trash, I'll do whatever. Just if you give me a shot, all I ask for is just a shot. Give me an opportunity to train at your gym and teach me so I can learn, because I want to get to the UFC someday. And he looked at me like I was crazy, kind of, you know what I'm saying? But he admired my passion that I came into his gym, and I was like, I'm not leaving until you sign me up, and I'll do whatever it takes. And he was like, all right. So he gave me an opportunity, and that's all I needed.
Well, I mean, you mentioned that impact of losing a father figure, and I know that first coach for you was a really big influence on your life. How has that loss shaped your life and your journey in MMA, and basically being, within the MMA community here?
Well, there's so many different answers to that. I would say first and foremost, Reese taught me so much about discipline, and sacrifice. And so that was a big thing for me going into MMA, learning discipline, and using what he taught me about discipline to better my students, you know what I'm saying? And not discipline in the sense of my students do something wrong and I punish them. No, I teach them how to not do that thing that they did wrong 3 times. If you do it 3 times, then something's wrong. So we got to teach you that how to not do it wrong after the first or second time. I think in a lot of ways as well, it's teaching them that if they want to be successful, they have to do things that they don't want to do necessarily. And everything Reese taught me, I would come to the gym late. I had to do 100 burpees, 25 push-ups anytime I came late, but that wasn't to punish me. It was to teach me the value of time and time management. So, there was so much that he taught me, but I think the biggest thing was love, and it sounds weird to say, but as a man and being loved by another grown man, I didn't grow up with that father figure love. And so he showed me that love, and it was different because that was the first time in my life that I really felt appreciated. And I felt like I could do anything. When I started out with Reese, at first I was unsure of myself. When I ended with Reese, I was the most confident person ever. I never lost a fight as an amateur or a pro under him.
That's wild. And I mean, we talked about when you were in Milwaukee too, and you were working at elementary school.
Yep.
And you started with the after school program. I think that obviously seemed to help you grow personally, but how has that experience translated to your ability to stay mentally strong and focused as a professional athlete?
Well, so going back to when I was working in the inner city, I think it was easy for me to work with those kids because I had struggles in school. I struggled so bad because, I moved so many times, and my mom did the best that she could to get me the best education. And she did it when I needed it. She got me the best education she possibly could. But in Jamaica, when I was staying with my grandma, they didn't send me to school that much. So I had a lot of catching up to do. I barely learned to read until I was 13 years old, which is the gap was so massive. So when I started working with these inner city kids, every single child that I looked at, I saw myself. I saw what I needed to do to make them grow because I knew what it took to make me grow. And all it took was attention to details. And I gave them a lot of attention, and I gave them what Reese gave me, love.
Coming here as an immigrant, having all that instability earlier in your life, you overcome significant odds to be here today, man. And it's like a really beautiful thing to see. But how do you view your role in inspiring others, and particularly those from like immigrants or underserved communities?
Well, the immigrant mentality is real. You know what I'm saying? Because America truly is the greatest country on earth, because this is one of the only places you could come and have a dream and literally think about your dream and go get it. Nowhere else in the world you can. I'm sure there's other places in the world, but here opportunity is extensive. And when I came here, all I ever wanted to do was be a provider someday to my mom and my future family. And so that's all the drive I need. Because when you don't have much growing up, you have this drive because you want to obtain something that you've never had.
You've had some times where you stepped up on short notice. You've taken fights when people were not weighing in, when you had all the right in the world to like not take it in. But talk to me a little bit about that, because particularly with the UFC, they value people who are willing to step up when the odds are not in their favor. But what has that been like for you?
Well, the UFC loves working with me, man. They really love working with me because I'm so easy to work with. I say yes to anybody, anytime. So had some of those been the smartest decisions? No. I probably shouldn't have fought Manil Kopp on 2 weeks' notice.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, they always remember when you step up short notice and take a fight. Down the road, they'll be like, okay, this is the guy we want to choose to fight instead of this guy, because this guy has been reliable and this guy has been a pain to work with. So they love working with me.
Yeah, I think that's people don't understand that, and then really, that benefits you in the end, right? They're willing to continue working with you because you're willing to step in there, when a lot of other people will be like, no, I'm good, right? And how many times I've had fights and like almost lost cards over that too, which is pretty crazy to see. One of the things I love too is you're doing a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. I love all the content you're doing on there. I don't think a lot of athletes see the importance of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What brought you onto the platform, and what value you've been seeing from it?
Well, just like anybody, we start off at this stage of our life where we're into making content that the fans want to see, right? And so you just progress. What else do the fans want to see? You know what I'm saying? Until you find a different realm in the business world. And I stumbled on LinkedIn and I was like, oh, what is this? I was like, oh man, this is the networking platform that I get to network and be myself and put out everything that I do and network and talk to people and meet amazing people like yourself. So it was the no-brainer, man. And ever since I've been on LinkedIn, it's interesting. I'm starting to like LinkedIn more than other social media platforms because social media platforms, I take my content, I create magic, I post it, bunch of people like it, bunch of people comment on it, but it doesn't really do anything for me. Obviously, it builds our ego and our confidence when people like our stuff and comment and, and share. But on LinkedIn, you actually get to have conversations, which I value. I'm old school like that, man. I value conversation. So that's my favorite thing about LinkedIn. It's not just you post content and you get a bunch of likes. You post content, someone else shares your content, then you share their content, and then they message you and say, hey, thank you for sharing my content. What are you up to? And then you say, well, this is what I'm doing. What are you doing? You want to have some coffee, and just like how we met.
Yeah.
So it's a amazing platform and so highly underrated.
You hit the nail on the head there, man. It's funny because I do like 99% of my business on there.
Yeah.
And it's like such a relationship tool. I know one of the things, I'm not going too far into some cool projects you're working on, but talk to me a little bit about like what the value of your platform and your network is for you, particularly for other athletes and all these relationships that you're making here, at the PI, being in Las Vegas. What has that meant for you?
Well, without trying to sound cocky, my network is going to be huge. And I want to make sure that I align myself with all the right people so that when I get here, I have the correct people to, I guess, be by my side and network with. You know what I mean? I don't want people that are trying to climb the ladder and people that are trying to use me. So I try to branch out and get a sense of the business world before I get into the business world. It's almost like being a champion before you become a champion. Like Conor McGregor was already a champion before he became a champion. Like he had that mindset that I'm a champion. So now I'm switching that business model mindset where I'm like, you know what? I'm a businessman right now. I'm a UFC fighter, but I'm also a businessman. I'm also an entrepreneur. And so I have to start telling myself that and aligning myself with all the right people so that when I get there, I know exactly how to delegate.
Hey, everyone. Just want to take a quick pause here to thank you so much for all the support. I've been seeing really awesome growth lately. And as I continue to meet new people and find new avenues to tell stories for this combat sports business world, I really would appreciate if you could give me your feedback on the posts as well as comment them. Please give me a subscription and follow me across all platforms. Links below. And really looking forward to putting out amazing content here in 2025. Now, if you wouldn't mind just doing me that favor, really appreciate it. Now back to the content.
No, man, it's so refreshing to see that and to have that foresight into like what your future is going to be. And I mean, just wrapping it up, what advice would you give to anyone who's at that earlier stage of their career and is experiencing that instabilities, experiencing those kind of hard times, and how you've worked to overcome them? What would you say to people like that?
No matter how many times you fail in life, it doesn't matter how many times you fail. It's not about the failures. It's about how you can learn from failing. And each time you fall, take a little bit of what did I learn from that? And then use that into the next thing and keep doing it, because everybody has this idea that we have to be the best right away. You don't have to be the best right away. You can literally be average for 10 years if you wanted to, and then you become the best. It's like working in a kitchen. You got to start out as the cook, the waitress, the dishwasher, before you can become the head chef. So keep in mind that being average or just good is okay. Later on in life, you will become the best with consistency and discipline. That's just how the model works. And I'm learning that because, for me, I had a late start to life. And I'm just like, why am I not the best yet? You know what I mean? Literally, that's how I approached everything.
Yeah.
Why don't I have this yet? But you can't have that mindset. You got to approach everything as, okay, over time, this will happen. So that's my advice. Just be patient.
No, that's such a beautiful analogy too. I mean, and as someone who's got a really, you've been like growing up in the UFC, man. So beautiful to see. And
Thank you.
even at your UFC 306 fight, man, that was just like you helped set the tone for that main card. It's just a pleasure getting to meet you and know you, and excited to see what you do next.
Thank you, man. And I appreciate that too, because it's interesting that UFC 306 card was such a banger. Like my stock went, but that came from just being consistent because I was such a young athlete mentally getting into the UFC because I had so many changes, and now I'm developing under the lights. And I think the key for fighters to develop is just being under the lights long enough. And I've been under the lights long enough where things don't faze me. For example, in life, right? There's certain things that we become self-conscious about and we stop doing it, whether it's good or bad, right? So for me, one of the big things for me was, I used to speak super, super proper growing up because my mom was a stickler for grammar. And all the kids would make fun of me because she had to tuck my shirt in and stuff like that. And they call me Urkel. I did a video about this, but it wasn't until I got older that I realized the way that I can articulate is going to be beneficial in my future.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have known that until today, right?
Exactly. Like I can knock somebody out and I can get on stage and, drop some knowledge at the same time.
Yeah, I love that.
The greatest feeling to have both traits.
Yeah, man, well, hey, I appreciate you doing this.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to getting this out there, and everyone follow him, find this man on LinkedIn, follow him on Instagram, all platforms. And you just wanted to let everyone know your handles too before we go.
I keep it short and simple. All of my handles are the exact same. Ode Osbourne, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, LinkedIn, ODE Osbourne, OSBOURNE.
Make sure you all follow him and keep an eye out for his next fight.